sports fans, this is Robert with WTP Sports News here live on this Saturday morning. Man, what an exciting game last night in the FIFA World Cup. The USA 4-1 over Paraguay. It was an unbelievable game and showing by the United States in that game. There was a bunch of stars out, a bunch of folks filling those stands, rooting the U.S. on. What a beautiful sight. A lot of excitement. We're here this morning to talk about that a little bit, along with Game 5 tonight in the NBA Finals between the New York Knicks and the San Antonio Spurs. And we're also going to talk a little bit of college football. So tune in with us. Make sure that you hit the like button. Make sure that you subscribe to the channels that you see scrolling across the bottom. And remember, it doesn't cost you a dime to subscribe to any of those channels scrolling across the bottom. Please put your questions in if you got any questions or comments in the chat. We're looking forward to hearing your questions and comments. Let's go ahead and get right into one of the questions that we have so far. I'm sure that we might get joined by some other of the WTP Sports News from the other channels that are scrolling across the bottom, maybe later on in the show. But let's get right on into it. Make sure I got that right on there. Okay. The FIFA World Cup has started. U.S. defeats Paraguay 4-1. How exciting are you this event? And what and the U.S. having a good showing. Man, that was so exciting watching that game last night. I really felt like the USA came out with a lot of adrenaline. Of course, these games are being played in the United States of America. The first time in maybe 30 plus years, they had a really, really good showing. I thought they played really, really well. They played aggressive. They played timely. They had good passing. They understood what it took to be out there on that field, and they played really, really, really well. And I was excited to be able to see them in the way they played yesterday. Let me see. I'm trying to get. Oh, he went off. I was trying to bring my man in, Mr. One Take Zaya, but I think he might have fell off. But the way they played, and I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know a lot of their names, but I was excited to see how well they played together. They played really fast, really aggressive, and really smart. There were times when I felt like Paraguay was trying to get right back into this game when it was 3-1, and they had a couple of times where they were being aggressive as well, trying to score the goals to get it to 3-2. But the USA really, really played really smart down the stretch, and they were able to keep Paraguay from getting another goal. And I thought that was really, really good playing by them. They made sure that they almost gave up a goal though on a bad pass across the field, but they were able to stop that goal. But I thought that was really, really, really exciting to watch. I got my man One Take Zed with me here this morning. Did you catch any of that FIFA World Cup last night game between the U.S. and Paraguay? And how exciting was it? And do you think the USA had a good showing?
Nah, I wasn't able to catch none of the World Cup, man. I woke up this morning to the group chat. I seen y'all was in there hyped up about it though.
Yeah, it was a really, really good game. If you get a chance to catch any of the highlights, or even if you get to catch their next game, if you get an opportunity to, please do so. Because I think that the way that they played, they really showed that USA Soccer is going to be a team that's going to have to be contending with in this World Cup. Do I think they're going to win it all? I'm not sure. But they played really, really well yesterday, and I think that they got an opportunity to make it at least further on in this FIFA World Cup tournament. All right, the next question, it says the Stars were out during yesterday's game. The arena was packed. Would you like to experience a World Cup? If we get the World Cup here again, and it probably won't be for another 30 years, do you think that would be an event you would like to witness? Would you put that on your bucket list?
Man, I like to be outside, outdoors, man. So, and I'm a WTP sports dude. Absolutely so. Man, that event will be packed. It will be sold out. It'll be a good crowd of people.
Yeah, I would definitely want to be out there as well. I'm not sure if it's audio messed up, but I would definitely be out there on that World Cup stage, man, ready to see those games, ready to partake in everything that takes place in those games. I really do feel like if they when they come back here again, I'm gonna be prepared to go, even if I might be 80 years old. I'm gonna be prepared to go to the World Cup. I see Kareem Abdul-Jabbar there, and I'm quite sure that I will probably be around that age range if it comes back to the U.S. Um, by that time, I will probably be around Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's age. So if he can go, I know I can go. So I'm looking forward to the next time they come, because I'm gonna definitely prepare myself to be in attendance at the next World Cup.
Oh, so it is coming here.
It's here right now, but I'm quite
Oh, it's
sure
here
it's
right
gonna
now.
come back again.
I didn't know that was going on, man.
Yeah, it's out in California, I believe.
Oh, okay, okay. I see what you said right now. I'm thinking like you talking about the city. You feel me?
Oh yeah. Oh man, I wish we could get that World Cup in Columbus, Ohio. That would be dope.
Man, listen, we got the final four in the women's. They starting to give us events.
Yeah, I'm gonna be in the building for sure. What do you think about this game five that's going to take place later on today? Who do you think's going to win? What do you think is going to be the keys to the victory for the Spurs not to get well, to be eliminated out of this final? What do they got to do to stay in contention and maybe force a game six?
You know, there's there's two sides to it for me, man. One side is did the biggest finals collapse in history, is it going to drain them and just take them out of being able to compete this game? I think them dudes is young though, and I think they got short term memory. I think they know they should have won that game. So I expect them to come out and play the same way they did the first 2 quarters, 2.5 quarters that they did the last game. But at the end, man, Brunson and Anobi, Carl, Anthony Towns, I just think they're gonna close it out, man. Like I don't think if they don't close, I think if the Knicks don't close this game out, I think it get into a real tricky position because you go back to New York after the next game, and after letting them build a little confidence on their home court, if they win that game, then you got a game seven on their home court. I think you have to close out tonight. So I'm gonna go with the Knicks, man, to ultimately complete the task today. Oh, and
Yeah,
the keys, bro. The keys is the keys. Brunson and Anobi and Carl, they just got to show up, man. Everything else will fall in line. Keep on playing how they been playing. Be physical with Wemby. You know, uh, yeah, and keep on containing. I think the biggest thing is Josh Hart containing Stephon Castle. I think that's really been low key the X factor of this whole series.
yeah. I think the Spurs in several games, well, really in all the games, they've been up at least 10 points or more in every game in this series. They find themselves down 3-1. They should have won that game this last one in New York, and they fumbled the ball. You said that this is a really young team, and when I went back and looked at it, this team is really, really young, man, and that's probably the reason why they lost two of those games that they should have won. The bad pass by Wembley in game three, and then the collapse in game 4, especially down the stretch by DeAndre Fox, who was probably their most senior player. I just really feel like the Spurs are going to come out in this next game and they're going to try to push it to a game 6. I think they're going to be able to do that. I think they're going to beat the Knicks, but I think it's going to really have to be a situation where they understand the seriousness of the game. They should have learned from those games that they lost so far in this series, the ones that they gave away for sure, and make sure that they stay within themselves and don't get too happy with the three ball. If it's falling for you and you heat checking, that's one thing. But when you continue to keep heat checking, like we seen them doing that last game where I think they took 8 straight threes, at some point you got to go down there and get your easy bucket or get to that free throw line. And I think they understand that because I'm quite sure the coaching staff, other players, some veterans who they might have connections with, have all told them that very thing. At some point, when it's not falling for you, you got to get to the cup, you got to get to the line, or you got to get you a layup. So hopefully the Spurs will be able to do that and force a game 6 because I'm not quite ready for basketball to be over yet. But I do believe that if it do get to game 6, the Knicks are going to close it out on their home court and win that series 4-2. Um, you talked about the physicality that the Knicks are using on Wemby. Do you think it's borderline dirty, or do you just think that's how the game is played and you got to be physical during these playoffs?
Man, listen, Wimby been playing dirty, period. So I think they dishing to him what he dishing out. It's an even call, man. I think Wimby been doing little cheap shots and stuff, but that's how they play overseas for real.
Yeah.
In Euro basketball and all that, they play physical and they take cheap shots over there. So I think that the Knicks is just dishing out what he dishing.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I feel like when you go and watch the overseas basketball, you see a lot of that. What you see Wemby doing, you see a lot of that in those games. And I would like to see more of that in the NBA. I think the NBA has gotten away from some of that physicality. Maybe during the regular season, we won't see it as much, but I would like to see it a little bit more than what we have. But in the playoffs, I think we've seen it throughout this whole entire playoffs. We've seen the physicality really go up a notch or two. And I like seeing that because it's a physical game. It's a contact sport. So ain't no need to be out there playing like you're playing powder puff. Um, what do you think Wemby's objective is going to be in this next game tonight?
What was the question?
What do you think Wemby's objective is going to be in tonight's game?
It's all about winning. That's all. All you want to do is win the game. It ain't about stats at this point. You ain't shooting for 25, 12, and 7 blocks. No, you just want to do whatever it takes to get a dub. That should be on everybody's mind on both sides of the court. You feel me? It's no longer about stats, bro. You just want to host that trophy up when it's all said and done. So, objectively speaking, what does it take to win, Wemby? And I do think he need to probably touch 25 and 12 and have about 5 blocks. He got to have a stat line like that for the Spurs to be in contention to win this game.
Yeah. You talk about the great defensive job that Hart has been doing on Castle. What does DeAndre Fox need to do with the matchup that he faces that he hasn't done so far? 'Cause outside of game 1, he's really had a really good series production wise. What does he need to do to maybe take the Spurs to another level in this game 5?
Just make smart basketball plays. The big thing about the last game is as the point guard and pretty much the older guy of the crew. Why do you take that layup at the end of the game? A high 80% free throw shooter. You don't need that layup. You pull the ball out. You waste a couple more seconds, and you go to the line and you knock them down, and you would have probably been in the same position you would have been in if you even converted that layup. So, you just got to be heady, just be heady and steady throughout the game, bro, and just make smart basketball plays. That's all they need for him. They don't need him to go get 20 and and 12 assists. I really think if he just had 15 points and 7 assists, and he just make smart basketball plays and take care of the ball, then everything else will be settled. I just think he got to be the other guy on the floor, though. You got to be poised.
How surprised or not surprised would you be if OG got the Finals MVP if the Knicks win this Finals?
Listen, they got three guys that got a case. OG had a monster game last game. You know, I thought Brunson didn't shoot the ball well those first two games, but without him, they wouldn't have probably closed those games out. And then Cat, well, I mean, like he neutralized. We seen a guy win a Finals MVP by neutralizing the best player on the opposing team, which was when Andre Iguodala won it when they faced that LeBron James team. So it's three different guys that I don't think nobody would be mad if they won it at all, really. And really we got games left to play. Right now I would say OG is probably in the lead because we live in a world where what have you done for me lately? And lately the last game we seen, OG just went off. He had a monster game. So I would feel like he probably in the lead, but who's to say Cat or Jalen Brunson wouldn't turn around and have a monster game tonight, and then that could seal the deal.
Yeah. Let me ask you this last question when we talk about this NBA Finals. What percentage of a chance are you giving the Spurs to win three straight games and win the NBA Finals championship 4-3?
Man, listen, the percentage. If I had to put a percentage on it, I'm gonna give them about 25%. Now the odds change. You win tonight, you going back to New York, you might jump to 35%. You win that game, your odds change again if you make it to a game 7, and now it's 50-50. So man, I'm gonna give them a 25% chance right now. But all I know is you got to take it one game at a time. This series is not over. We've seen this happen before when LeBron James did it against the Warriors. It can be done. You just got to take it one game at a time. You got to understand that you cannot win this series by looking ahead, and you got to take care of business day by day.
Yeah. Let's welcome my man T1 to the show. How you feeling this morning, T1?
Feeling like I need to go get in my car. I'm feeling place. Other, other than that, it's a beautiful, beautiful morning, man. Hey, look here. I got some sleep last night.
Man,
I
that's
got
great.
sleep last night. I was asleep before 11 o'clock on a Friday night, so that's unlike me. So, hey, up and at it, ready to roll. Good to see y'all, my brothers.
Good to see you too. Did you get an opportunity to catch any highlights or even catch any of that FIFA World Cup game between the United States and Paraguay yesterday?
I did not. What was the final score? I saw when it was 4-1.
The final score was 4-1 United States. If you get a chance, try to catch some of the highlights. But how exciting is it to have the World Cup in the States this year?
That's dope. The World Cup is a great one of the biggest sporting events in the world. That's why it's called the World Cup. So for it to be here, I'm not a real huge soccer buff, but I know a lot of people who are, and I know they're way more excited than I am. But I'm excited for them.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So, if you had an opportunity in the future to go to a World Cup inside the United States, do you think you would put yourself in position to do so just to go and experience it?
I think I would. I think that would be a great experience just because just like uh I would love to experience a Super Bowl or NBA Finals, and I definitely would experience one of those before the World Cup. Just to throw that out there as well. I'm gonna need to catch a Super Bowl or a Finals before that. So, but yes, I would love to experience something like that after I've experienced either this Super Bowl or NBA Final.
All right, well, give us your take on tonight's game between the Spurs and the Knicks. What do you think either one of those teams got to do to win this game? What do the Knicks need to do to close it out? What do the Spurs need to do to continue to survive? And who you taking in tonight's game?
Well, I heard one take say that it wasn't over. And I promise you, I just seen like about 3 fat ladies out here on Williams Road. They was out here singing with some Knicks jerseys. But and I'm not saying that they're gonna be up out of here tonight, because if the script is right, I was wrong with it going 7 games. I was wrong about that. But if they are scripting and I'm seeing the entertainment side of it, that was great entertainment in that game 4 at New York, down 29 points. And New York just miraculously comes back, and San Antonio just turned into the San Antonio Lone Clarks, a AAA baseball organization. But San Antonio gonna win tonight, and then they celebrating in New York on what would that be, Tuesday? Then they gonna this celebration is going down in New York, and we better hope that they don't burn that baby down, because it's gonna go down. And they don't want to celebrate in San Antonio; they want to celebrate in New York City. And the only way for them to do that is for them to get that dub in New York.
Yeah, I feel you on that. Let's turn our attentions to some college football, and I want to get your take on. I want you to put on your coordinator's hat, your head coaching hat, and I want you to tell me, what do you think you would do if you were facing Jeremiah Smith on a Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening as a defensive coordinator? What would your game plan be to face Jeremiah Smith?
I mean, you have to have 2 on him at all times. You're not gonna go man to man. You're not gonna man to man Jeremiah. It's impossible. So you're gonna have to keep 2 on him. That's it. That's all I know. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I feel you on that. Do you think when teams come out there and offensively, you think Ohio State already got a check to where if they do see a situation where Jeremiah Smith might get man-to-man coverage, one-on-one coverage, they always got a play in their arsenal that they can check to whenever they see there's a possibility he might be in one-on-one coverage?
Yeah, that's one of the things that will be implemented into this offense this upcoming season. You will see Jeremiah getting plenty more targets. You'll see him getting a whole lot more targets, because if they do, they better have a really good spy, if they want to try to counter that and just look like they're in the man-to-man. But they got that help, and it's kind of easy to see when they have that help over top too as well. If you are a knowledgeable quarterback.
Yeah. Keep your defensive coordinator hat on, and what would you do against Miami slot receiver Malachi Tony?
Listen, I would do the exact same thing. I'm guarding him just like I'm guarding Jeremiah. He's gonna get the same treatment. He's a dynamic wide receiver, so he's gonna get that exact same treatment.
Yeah, I feel you. I want you to put on your offensive coordinator hat, and you're going against Leonard Moore, who is considered one of the top defensive backs in the country for Notre Dame. As an offensive coordinator, what is your game plan whenever you got to face a guy like Leonard Moore?
Uh, I'm not. I'm definitely not going. I'm not going his way that much. I'm not going his way that much. Everything will be designed to go away from him. We're not. Unless I have a Jeremiah Smith. Now, if I have a Jeremiah Smith if I have a Jeremiah Smith on my team, of course, it's a completely different ball game.
Let me ask you this. So with a Jeremiah Smith, let's say a Jeremiah Smith Leonard Moore matchup happens. Can you see the defensive coordinator for, let me let one take say back in. Can you see a defensive coordinator for Notre Dame allowing Leonard Moore to follow Jeremiah Smith?
Absolutely. I mean, they have to. But I don't even know if you can still. I don't care if he is one of the top corners out here. I don't know if you can just still leave him out on the island with a Jeremiah Smith. And if so, I'm going to test you.
I like the way you went and got in your car, man, so you can be like
Yeah,
the
hey, I'm gonna try to fit in as much as I can, man. And I saw both of y'all in y'all's car, so we gonna make this thing look as right as possible. If I can help it in any type of way.
I feel you. One thing, Zay, I got to get your thoughts on this. If you're a defensive coordinator and you're facing Jeremiah Smith, what's your game plan against Jeremiah Smith?
Got a bracket him. We seen that the bracket can kind of slow him down. But as far as the Leonard Moore thing, yeah, I'm with T1. You can't just one on one him and me not test you. I gotta test you, even with Leonard Moore being a consensus, uh, possibly a top three pick. He's probably gonna be the number one corner off the board in the NFL draft coming up. So that's good on good, but defense has always been at an advantage. Receiver know where he want to get to and what route he running. As a DB, you got to react to it. So, you already at a disadvantage. It's hard to guard some of these alien type receivers one on one for a whole game and shut them down. It's just really not how it usually works. But we done seen a couple guys do it over the years. Do we think this is Revis Island or Deion Sanders or Woodson? I don't know if he on that level, caliber level. He's a good, very solid player though. But nah, I'm not covering Jeremiah Smith one on one. You got to bracket him. You gotta have three guys around.
Do you think if there's ever an instance in a game where it might appear like Jeremiah Smith might be getting one-on-one coverage, do you automatically audible out of the call that you got called to try to get him the ball if it looks like he has a one-on-one?
You know, I mean, if he's in a one on one, absolutely. But at Ohio State, how much control do they give our quarterback to do that? We didn't give him that type of control last year to do that. Now he got a full year under his belt. Hopefully, they give him a little bit of that control this year. Um, but even at that, this is the problem I have, and I voiced this plenty of times. You seen times where Jeremiah was one on one, and the ball did not find him. In that Texas game, he had a wide open touchdown. All you had to do was throw him the ball, and we didn't throw him the ball. So that we miss him. You can have one on one matchups, but if your quarterback not throwing the man the ball, then it ain't really much he can do.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact. Let's switch over, and I want you to put on your offensive coordinator hat. And how do you attack Leonard Moore?
With a Jeremiah Smith, Hey, with a Jeremiah Smith, that's how you attack. I done seen him shut down some dudes over the last year, man. So, oh, I feel like even Jeremiah said, even Jeremiah said that was this tough matchup. So, Leonard Moore is one of them dudes, man. You got to give him credit where it's due.
Yeah. Do you think that Malachi Tony should command the same kind of attention that Jeremiah Smith does from defensive coordinators?
Yeah. I mean, it's a different type of attention that you got to worry about with Malachi. They trying to get the ball out quick, get him in some bubble screens, get him into space. So, when you think about Jeremiah, it's more or less deep behind the defense, intermediate. He can catch screens, but Malachi Tony is a different type of explosive than Jeremiah is. They both explosive players. They're just differently explosive. So yeah, you gotta key in. I think that's a big part of their offense though, and they got a strong run game over there. So um, it's kind of like a yin and yang over there. You can give up the run game if you want to focus on Malachi. If you want to put a couple extra bodies out there, but then you're gonna lose something in the run game. So it's really like you got to pick your poison, kind of.
Let me ask you both. If we have a situation like we had last year during last year's college football playoff selection shows, if they see a situation like they saw last year, where you had a few three-loss Big Ten teams and a few three-loss SEC teams, and they don't get in again, do you think those schools or those conferences will decide, listen, let's go ahead and get away from these big time non-conference games and just worry about playing our conference schedule, which is going to be tough in itself because the two leagues that they're in. Do you think they're going to start changing up their scheduling if they don't get teams in with three losses?
Absolutely, because now at this point, it doesn't benefit you to schedule those tough out of conference games. It doesn't benefit you any. So why do it if you're at least going to have a couple of games in conference that'll weigh a little something for you? So absolutely, they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. They're going to get them cupcakes so they can, 10-2.
Yeah, I like to think that you know when it comes to teams who's supposed to get into the playoffs, that by the end of the year it'll work out. Like last year, I thought the teams that were deserving to get in got in, but even with that fact, I felt like Notre Dame was better than a few of them. But deserving is a whole different thing. I feel like Notre Dame didn't have any strong wins uh, to surpass a three-loss SEC team that went to their conference championship. So, and that's how I felt then. I still felt like they got it right, even though if you did an eye test, and this is where eye tests get tricky too. You could go by eye test, but at the end of the day, we have data points and factual things, on paper. So I don't think you could surpass factual data when it comes to eye tests a lot of the time. So I don't know. I always feel like it's going to work itself out, and I don't think people won't start down scheduling either, because I mean, why would you? If you were Texas, you got a brand Texas. I feel like, and I'm sorry, Rob. No, all this is all due respect. I don't think Texas didn't get into the playoff because of the Ohio State game. No, they didn't get into the playoff because they lost to Florida. That's the reason. Yeah,
I
so
agree with that too.
everybody, I feel like everybody got in based off of exactly what they did, and I felt like they really got it right. You're not gonna make everybody happy either.
Hey, one thing I can say too though is I don't like that. What is that one automatic bid for the what is it called? The group of five, Rob?
Yeah, yeah, the group of
I
five.
don't that group of five spot that could have went to either Notre Dame or Texas, and you could have got a better game. Uh, that, that I consider that more like almost like a participation trophy. Like, because you're getting in to get your head smacked by somebody. Like, they really got to get that out of there. Either you're going to expand this thing, but that's taking up a spot to where you can have a very good and a very entertaining game. And I also just feel like I know it might be off subject a little bit, but I believe those top four need a home game in round one.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit more about this group of five situation. And I don't know, in these discussions that have been taking place, because we've been hearing a lot of discussions and a lot of stuff with the Congress people and all of that. Is that one of the topics that they're talking about, possibly taking the group of five and letting them have their own playoffs, and then taking them out of with the group of five teams? Have y'all heard any of that kind of conversation going on? And do you think that's what they should be talking about? Let them have their own separate tournament.
Hey, I don't know. I don't know. But you know anything about that? Because I don't know. But I really, really do feel like they need to get them up out of here. And I don't even know what type of tournament that they could have. I mean, either you're going to be in D1 in the FBS, or you have to go down to the what is that, the FCS, or whatever the other one is. Yeah, the FCS. You have to go down there to the championship series. The bowl series is up here with the big guys, and you really ain't ready for the big guys, and they should not just be throwing them in there. And I hope that the committee is talking about removing them from that. They're going to have to get in based on, they didn't schedule a lot of out of conference games, and they won some out of conference games because you're not getting in with no weak schedule.
Yeah, I don't think they're having no conversations about that because inevitable, it looks like we're going to move to 2014. So why would they have the conversation about having a tournament for the group of five when maybe we might see 3 or 4 teams in the 24 bracket? I don't think it would make sense. I think that depending upon the cash distribution, that the cash that those teams get for making an appearance in the college football playoff will help those conferences tremendously. And I just don't think it would really make sense to have conversations of NIT style tournament for the group of five.
So if they go to 24, are there going to be any automatic bids, or you just take the committee will just pick who they think are the top 24 teams in the country and just slot them in there with no automatic bids?
I don't know what the logistics look like of it, but I think T1 hit it on the head, kind of, sort of, when he said, you probably have the top 4 teams from each conference, and then you start bidding out at larges. But when you think about the method that T1 spoke about a month and a half, 2 months ago, when he said that, typically, the top 4 teams in each conference is already going to be in the top 24, top 25. So what at large bids would they really lose if you got a Navy in there, if you got a Memphis in there, if you got a Boise State in there? I don't think they would miss out on any at large bid.
That's a good point. What you think, T1?
Man, y'all, you know what I think. I think go ahead and get that top 24 popping and rocking, and the first 4 in those 4 conferences. What's that? 16 right there. That's 16 right there, and then you got another 8. You got another 8. Almost like the top 5 might be guaranteed in there. Just depending on, because I'm really like those other 5s. I mean, you gotta go far down the line in the Big Ten and the SEC before you get to a team where those other smaller schools may be able to beat a Big Ten or SEC team. But I feel confident that although they wasn't that great, but I feel confident that USC and even Michigan could have got to the playoffs and represented the Big Ten if you had a 24 team playoffs. Actually, they would have been in there, but I think they only what did they have? 3 losses. Those teams had 3, 4 losses or whatever, whatnot. So once we get to this 24 team playoff, then we're gonna start seeing teams with 4 losses in the playoffs. And I'm not opposed to that because some of these teams hit a little stride a little later in the year. Like even Maryland looked like they could have came in and did a little bit of something. So I want to see it get to 24. I want to see home games up north, or even if they're down south. If you deserve to have that first round or second round home game, so be it. That's generating more money for the university, more money for those cities, and I love it.
Let me
Yeah,
ask
Hey,
you
I think
this.
I ain't got no major problem with Michigan when we're in off season and we just talking football, and I just gotta keep it all the way 100. If they deserve to be there, they deserve to be there. It don't matter how much I dislike.
Do you
yeah,
think the committee should start? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Want to take it? Then I'll ask this question.
yeah. I just wanted to touch on a point that T-Wan made that was real good and interesting. You know, do we think a Tulane could have beat possibly Illinois, somebody that's 7 or 8 down the line in the Big Ten, and that's the question that we got to ask when we are letting these Group of Five teams in, and also when these Group of Five teams make their schedules, and I know you gotta kind of schedule out. Like previously, like you might have to schedule your games that you got non-conference this year, probably 4 or 5 years ago. But these guys got to start making sure that if they're a program that's looking to be in the playoffs and they really want to fight to be a football program, that they got to schedule requisite programs that's going to help them show that they can play with the bigger guys, because those games and them non-conference games, if you have a good outing when it comes time to, make the case of the Group of Five and who should be in. If you go out there and you give a Notre Dame or a Texas or Ohio State all they can handle in a game like that, even if you don't win it, but if you give, then at least they'll be like, okay, they played such and such earlier in the year and they gave them all they can handle. That's not a bad team to have in the playoff. So I think they got a schedule as well.
Hey, that was good Tuesday because Tulane wouldn't have beat Illinois or Arkansas or Missouri, and definitely not a Texas or Notre Dame. Like so many teams that they wouldn't have beat, and they were in the playoffs. That y'all, they just wasted a spot.
I do think that those Group of Five teams, if they do want to have a viable chance of making it to the college football playoffs, that outside of their conference, they do need to schedule some Power Four schools. But I wouldn't go as far as to be scheduling people like Ohio State, Texas. Though I would probably look for somebody like maybe Oklahoma State or Iowa State or somebody like that. That if I could have a good showing against one of those schools, then maybe I could have some legitimacy. But I dang on sure I wouldn't be going after them big dogs in the Power Four. That's for sure.
Hey, that could backfire though, Rob. That
It
could
can
backfire.
backfire. We've seen it. We've seen it backfire. So you know, so it can. What do y'all think if they do go to looking at the things that they've done the last couple of years and deciding who's going to make these college football playoffs? I think last year we saw that even though Alabama made it to the conference championship game, we started to see Alabama on a downward trajectory. Do you think they're going to start looking at that a little bit more in the future? Because when, even though Alabama did beat Oklahoma in that first round, it really wasn't a good showing by either one of those teams. But we had some other teams outside that didn't make the college football playoffs that we think would have had a much better showing. Do you think they're going to look at the way a team has played in the last 5 weeks of the season, even though they might make their conference championship game, to see if they should really be viable to make it to the college football playoffs if they're not playing well at that point?
I don't really think so. And then especially if it expands, I don't really think so.
This year, so it, the dominoes got a million different ways they can fall. It all depends on how the dominoes fall. Last year was a weird year, um, but I think we got enough cross matchup games this year to where you can kind of compare the strengths of conferences. So, for instance, we got Baylor and Auburn week 1. We could kind of see how Auburn match up against Baylor, what Baylor does in the Big 12, what Auburn does in the SEC. I think just we got quite a few of these type of matchups to where we can kind of gauge the strength of conferences this year. So if it comes down to that, and you do got a 3-loss SEC champ, it just depends on what team are they being compared to, in that instance, because last year was just so weird, man. The ACT had the whole country jacked up for real. It just was jacked up from the jump.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Anything else y'all want to talk about as it relates to any other sports that's going on around the country before we wrap up?
Just getting ready, for these finals, man. And like I said, I truly believe that Santa Ana's gonna win tonight, and they're gonna celebrate in New York on Tuesday. If New York was to win tonight, I would question the way that I look at these sports a little bit, because I just don't see New York winning tonight.
You got anything, one take?
No, I'm good. I'm good, man. Hey, I'm up here at East High School at the track meet. We got a 11 and under track meet. I'm about to go watch these kids run.
Oh, that's dope. That's dope. Track is starting to really catch back on, man, like it used to a long time ago, man. And I'm excited that track is starting to catch some ground. Just like we see soccer starting to get back important as well.
Yeah, they take them from 3 and up. I told my lady I'm putting my daughter in track next year. I got the guy's information. She going into this. This will be
So
good for her.
I'd
Yeah.
like to put this out there. I just did some shirts for a friend. Her name is Quintina, and she does track training. She has a great track background, and she has a track training uh, club. Well, it's not a club, but it's called Buckeye Thunder. I just did some shirts for them. They hard too. But anybody out there looking and listening, and you're interested in getting your young kid into some training for track so that they can, take it to that next level and be ready by the time they get to middle school or high school, or even if they're in middle school and high school, she takes them all. She does some good things out there with the kids. And so, leave us a comment or something, or jump in somebody's inbox and let me know if you want to get your kids some training for that track.
All right, y'all. Dope. All right, y'all. I appreciate y'all joining me this morning. We'll be back again tomorrow at 9 a.m. Hopefully, you can join us again tomorrow. We'll talk some more sports. Make sure that you subscribe to all the channels that's scrolling across the bottom. Make sure you like, subscribe, share our videos with your friends and families. We're trying to grow our channels as much as we possibly can so we can continue to bring you great content. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all's evening. I appreciate y'all joining me. And like we always say, take us out 2-1.
Know the drill, man. We was in the building, now we out, man. Hey, love y'all.
Hey,
Love you,
too.
fam.
All right, love you too, bro.